Our man in Hollywood, Jim Brown, is in London to talk to a man who is a legend in the film industry, a legend that's the subject of a new book.
Directed by David Lean. Say that, and most people think of sweeping epics such as Lawrence of Arabia, Bridge on the River Kwai, or Dr. Zhivago. But his first films were small, black and white, and made in England. That later cinema wanderlust began with this movie, Summertime, released in 1955. When Katharine Hepburn tumbled into a Venice canal, Lean discovered the romance of shooting on location. David Lean, now 81, lives today alongside the River Thames in London's Docklands. His home is a beautifully remodeled old brick warehouse. And his professional love affair with Hepburn continues because she wrote the introduction to the new biography.
I was tremendously touched by what my old friend Kate Hepburn said about me. Just tremendously touched. And the book was worth it, just for that, as far as I'm concerned.
David Lean began as an editor in the silent era. He became a director when Noel Coward passed him the mantle on the movie In Which We Serve. Lean's other early British films include Brief Encounter, Great Expectations, Oliver Twist, and Breaking the Sound Barrier.
I'm putting the stick forward.
Lean's later widescreen classics resulted in 27 Oscars, including 2 for Lean himself for direction of Lawrence of Arabia and Bridge on the River Kwai.
You never make, well, at least in my case, I've never made a movie that I can sit back and say, well, that's it, I'm delighted. There are bits of movies that I like, you know?
Writer Steven Silverman, who authored this first ever David Lean biography, calls the filmmaker, who was knighted by the Queen in 1984, a remarkably shy man.
He was frightened to accept the assignment from Noel Coward to direct. He never thought Katharine Hepburn would want to make a movie with him, as she did. He never thought the Americans would give him an Oscar because he wasn't an American. I mean, it was unbelievable to me. The shyness was always the shocker.
Yet Lean is thrilled with the book, which he happily notes talks more about his movies than his 5 wives.
Just look at that as a panorama. Terrific. You don't see that sort of thing very often. And that was blown up from the 70mm negative. I knew movies were made naturally, but it was a kind of secret magic place. And I never dreamt, because I was an awful dud, I never dreamt that I would ever enter this secret magic place until one day I went back to see my mother one evening, because I was in my father's office, which was an accountant's office, which was dull as ditch water. And an aunt had come to see me. She said, look, I see heaps of film books here, but no accountancy books. Why doesn't he go in for the movies? And I thought, why doesn't he go in for the movies? Why not? It was a tremendous barrier broken. And I went to my father and said, Dad, I'd like to go into the movies. He was shocked, because it just wasn't done in those days. A Quaker young man going into the movies, it was a sort of shocking place of wicked women, you know. And I did, and I'm terribly grateful to that aunt.
On the mantle behind David Lean are the artifacts of a career not yet completed. Next March, in his 82nd year, Lean will begin shooting a movie version of Joseph Conrad's novel, Nostromo.
There's no big stuff, is there, anymore? I suppose the last big stuff was The Godfather. And I think it's a shame. I think the movies are wonderful when they tell a story And the story contains these great big outsized characters that you feel privileged to have dinner with, as it were.
A new book on his life just published and about to begin a movie. David Lean is again where he wants to be, in that world he calls a secret magic place. For today, Jim Brown, NBC News, London.